Speaker.
I call the Honourable Tariana Turia.
Tēnā koe, Mr Speaker. Tēnā tātou katoa. There's been one word on my mind in the aftermath of the events of the 4th of September, and that word is manaakitanga. And this bill at its very core is about showing manaakitanga by helping the people of Christchurch and its 30,500 Māori to recover from the earthquake, to rebuild their homes, to renew their spirits, and most of all to restore the quality of their lives and of their whānau around them. Manaakitanga, as defined by Professor Hirini Moko-Mead, focuses on positive human behaviour and encouraging people to rise above their personal attitudes and feelings towards others. And the aim is to nurture relationships and to respect the mana of other people, no matter what their standing is in society. Being hospitable and looking after visitors is given very high priority, and so it is in this bill. As so evident in the days interrupted by hundreds of aftershocks and further disarray, that priority is given towards looking after the people of Canterbury today and into the future. The bill enables an effective response to the Canterbury earthquake to be put in place with the associated statutory powers necessary to assist with the response. A key priority in the bill is to facilitate the gathering of information about any structure or any infrastructure affected by the earthquake. An important note in the fine print is that the information sought through processes introduced in the bill are defined as relevant to understanding how to minimise the damage caused by the earthquake. And this is where we come back to the concept of manaakitanga. How much more relevant to the issue of damage is it than to focus on the well-being of the people? And I want to speak here and reiterate what was said by the ACT spokesperson on the amazing efforts that's been made by Work and Income New Zealand to make contact with people who are over 65 years of age, to provide that basic level of contact which can be so appreciated in times of need. And the numbers were absolutely remarkable. As of earlier today, Work and Income staff had contacted 16,233 superannuitants by phone and had home visited another 706 elderly in the days following the quake. In addition, I want to commend Te Rūnanga o Ngaitahu, who have telephoned over 700 kaumātua to check on their well-being. Telephone teams organised by Te Rūnanga have also been calling whānau and other age groups with the aim of calling all whānau in the badly affected areas for whom they have contact details. And I want to also draw attention to the commitment of the local MP, Rahui Kātane, who alongside of all the other MPs in Christchurch have been doing sterling work. She has spent every moment visiting Māori communities in whānau in the worst affected areas of Ōtautahi following this 7.1 magnitude earthquake. Mr Speaker, when we talk about infrastructure and the damage incurred, it is the human infrastructure that must prevail. And I'm so pleased that in the government's initial response to the earthquake, a fund of $2.5 million has been established for trauma counselling to be drawn from the Community Response Fund. And I have to say how saddened I was that in the immediate aftermath of the earthquake last Saturday, police reported that incidents of domestic violence had increased by 53%. Such a statistic mirrored the research that was issued by Victoria University earlier this year, revealing that that after a disaster, that there's up to triple the number of reports of domestic violence. The ugly face of violence, the escalating rates of anxiety, the levels of mental illness, of stress, of depression, are all casualties of the damage caused by any disaster, including the recent Canterbury earthquake. And so I welcome the purpose of this bill to gather the information about the extent of such damage, not just to the bricks and mortar, but also to the human experience. The response and recovery provisions outlined in Part 2 of the bill deal with some 22 acts which may be affected by the granting of an exemption from the provisions contained within. And I want to focus specifically on two areas that are of special interest to the Māori Party, and that is the ongoing provision of public health. The Health Act 1956 and the Health and Disability Services Safety Act 2001 are the key means by which legislation ensures that there is adequate drinking water, sewerage, waste and sanitation and so on. And while there are no concerns with ensuring decisions are made quickly to ensure the Canterbury region gets back to normal, there are some concerns with affected parties having no recourse after the responsible minister makes a decision. We need to ensure that those affected parties or groups who are already disadvantaged are not further disadvantaged with any decisions that are made. And I'm thinking in particular about the tangata whenua. I'm thinking of people with disabilities, people on low incomes, refugee and migrant communities, Pacifica peoples, those in poor housing and other groups who may be more vulnerable at this time of instability. There must be some assurances that all decisions will be consulted with affected parties and groups before final decisions are made. In addition, the basic human rights of people and the international conventions, such as our United Nations commitments, must also be taken into account. Mr. Speaker, we absolutely support this bill, as this gives those who are involved in the rebuilding effort another tool to aid the recovery of Christchurch peoples. And I want to be quite clear that Part 2, Section 6, Number 3 causes us some concern, and that the statement that the recommendation of the relevant minister, Part 2, Section 6, Number 3, causes us some concern, and that the statement that the recommendation of the relevant minister may not be challenged, reviewed, quashed or called into question in any court might suggest that liability and logically accountability and culpability are all removed. And we table this concern now to enable the Minister to provide assurance as to how issues of liability can be addressed. And if I could make one final suggestion, it would be to recommend, indeed to strongly advise the Minister, that mana whenua must have representation on the Commission. There are 30,500 Māori living in the Selwyn District, Waimakariri District and Christchurch City. We want to ensure that Māori have a guaranteed voice on the Canterbury Earthquake Recovery Commission, and that the unique needs of marae, of whānau hapu and iwi are actively respected in the Recovery Commission, and we strongly urge the Government to reserve a place for Ngai Ta'u amongst the 4 appointed persons of the 7-person Commission. And I return once more to the expression of manaakitanga. While we debate the bill in this House today, I want to extend our heartfelt gratitude to the offers of assistance that have been made by many other iwi, and indeed by the Papatipurunanga who support Kaitahu and other iwi living in the rohe of Ōtautahi, and to all those other peoples who have made significant contributions. There are volunteers right throughout Aotearoa who have devoted themselves to a task of supporting the people of Canterbury. All of us in this House have been touched by the generosity of spirit that has been demonstrated by social service providers, non-government organisations, government agencies and members of the greater public alike who have spared a thought for the kith and kin in Canterbury and have reached deep and have shown their support. This is also an opportune time to make acknowledgements to all of the hard-working local MPs from all sides of the House who have been working to support the people of Canterbury. He mihi atu nei kia koutou. This bill will be all the better for all of your efforts. Nā reira, tēnā koutou katoa.